Hi everybody and welcome to another video. My name is Richard Seidlitz, aka Telum01, and I'm the owner of redpants.lol. Today we're talking about oil. This is a specific type of oil, and that's gear oil for the manual transmission in a V8 Vantage. I'm specifying manual because there is the sport shift transmission, which uses the same oil from the factory. However, when we get into changing oils, there's a lot to take into consideration. With the sport shift, those are so finely tuned for the specific oil that it uses that can actually cause damage if the computer expects one kind of oil and you put it in another. So it's something that I'd rather play cautious. It's something I'm very conservative about in general, which I am in anyway when it comes to modifying these cars. It's something I don't really feel comfortable with. So this conversation is going to be about the manual transmission specifically because you have a lot more flexibility with what you're going to do. So as you can see here, I have three kinds of oil. The first one, which is a representation of the OEM oil, is Castrol's BOT270A oil. This oil is actually custom made for Aston Martin. What that means to you as a consumer is that it's about $60 to $70 per quart, and I've heard of actually people paying more than $70 a quart, and you need 5 of them. So, it's kind of difficult to justify paying that much money, but to get into why that's important, when Aston first shipped these cars, they had a 75W90 oil in them, which is very common, also supplied by Castrol. However, there are a lot of complaints about stiff shifting, so you may actually experience that yourself, especially when the transmission's cold. It may be very difficult to shift from first into second. So the complaints were enough to where they changed the oil to the BOT270A, and they also have a new updated shift linkage that's being used. You have to check to see if your specific car has it. The earlier ones, it's a retrofit. It's kind of expensive because of the labor involved, but it may make a difference to really help you enjoy your car again if you're finding that the shifting is a bit of an issue. So the next one we have is another Castrol. It's another 7590, except it's limited slip. So limited slip additives are made to help protect against certain conditions found in a differential, thus the limited slip. What's important about this is that it's a different rating. And I'm not going to get into the engineering behind it or the chemicals or anything else because I'm not that smart. But basically you have GL4 and GL5 oils. GL5 oils are those like limited slip ones. The problem with early GL5 oils is that they could cause wear and tear and degradation of certain components, specifically yellow metals, inside the transmission. So things like synchros would actually get chewed up by using those kind of oils. Modern GL5 oils are taking that into consideration when they're being made, so they actually get tested to be non-corrosive to yellow metals like synchros. So this specific oil is the one that I was using in my car for the last couple of years. It didn't do anything to alleviate stiff shifting. And part of that is because LS additives actually thicken an oil. Well, not necessarily thicken, it's still a 75 weight 90, but if you look at the different specifications for a given oil, you have things like viscosity and density. So density is exactly what it sounds like, it's how dense something is. Viscosity is a rating of how smoothly it flows and how freely it flows at a given temperature. So that's important because when we're talking about cold shifting, we look at the cold temperature viscosity. These have a very high viscosity, which means it's kind of syrupy. So think of water as being very low viscosity, maple syrup being very high viscosity. When we're looking at different oils, it's very important to take into consideration a lot of different factors. So the oil, while it worked just fine, it gave me stiff shifting, and that's something that I wanted to alleviate. So going back to this partnership with Motul, I now have their oil. I was looking at the specifications for this because they offer another LS oil, the Gear 300 LS, and it's very, very thick. Not very thick, it's just, it's about comparable to the Castrol LS oil. And I want to get away from that, I'm looking for something thinner. So I was looking at the specifications for the Gear 300, and it's actually a very, very non-viscous, is that even a word? It has very low viscosity. I think that's English. Does that work? It's got a very low viscosity when it's cold, which means it should flow a lot easier, which will allow it to get into those places that it needs to get into when the the transmission is cold, to help it work more smoothly and allow you to shift more smoothly. So I'm going to be doing another video showing the actual process of changing out the gear oil in a manual V8 Vantage. Again, it's going to be my own 2007. And this is what I'll be using. During the next few months, I'm going to be testing it. It's going to include a lot of street driving, some track days, cold starts, the whole 9 yards, to see just how well this performs in a wide variety of situations. So if you are looking for the OEM oil, you have to get it from your dealership. You cannot get it anywhere else, and you're looking at paying about $350 for that. Again, thus the unicorn, see the unicorn blood? I'm being clever here with the gold digger line. That's clever. I'm clever. I think I'm clever. I'm clever. If you're looking for something that's cheap and easily accessible, you can get a Castrol 7590 or Redline. I actually had Redline in the car when I bought it. We used it for 2 years, and it worked fine. It was actually a really good oil. I was pretty impressed by it. AMSOIL makes them. There's a lot of companies that it's like 90 degrees. It was 50 and raining 4 days ago, and now it's 90 degrees and humid as all get out. So excuse me if I'm sweating all over this video. So there are a lot of options, and it's very cheap and readily available. The problem that you're going to face with most 7590s is that it may not give you any good performance when you're shifting when it's cold. So basically when you start driving, just getting it out of the driveway, when you're putting around your neighborhood, when you first turn on the car, when you're leaving that fancy restaurant, it may suck to shift. So something to keep in mind, it's a trade-off, so you're not paying 70 bucks a quart. And then we have this one, which I'm hoping, based on the specifications, that it should actually flow really well at cold temperatures. I don't believe in everything I read, though. I like putting things to the test. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm making videos. And so we're going to be checking that out. The nice thing about this is another very high quality oil, so you know you're getting a good product. And I sell this on my website for about a third, actually, yeah, a third as much as this. So you can get all the oil you need for a third the price of that stuff. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. You can do so directly through your own email by emailing me at rich@redpants.lol, or you can do it through the contact page of my website, www.redpants.lol. Thank you.